Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Pat, and you are listening to the Patcast. This week is a really special one for us, so let me see what kind of news updates I have for you first. If you have seen the hashtag PurgoJerry Challenge video, where you guys sent in embarrassing things for the guys to do, and it ended up with Purgo playing Princess Leia and Jerry playing Han Solo. Episode 2 is up on YouTube, so you can check that out. We ended up with lots of footage. And Mikey Ortiz at Crush Management felt so inspired that he made another video. More to come in the future. I hope not. Stay tuned to this channel for more updates. And yeah, you can check that out later. We have plenty of shows coming up this summer, so check out our website for updates on our tour schedule. This week, we're coming to Niagara Falls, Tennessee, and Delaware. And next week, California, Nevada, and Salt Lake. So come and check us out. Really important news is tomorrow, the debut of Angel and Blue Jeans video is going to be up. So please check that out. I think it's phenomenal. When we were filming it, I didn't know if it was going to be really cheesy or weird, but man, I'm blown away with this kid named Brendan and the great work that he did directing it and putting it together. It's the best video we've ever shot by far. A little over a year ago, myself, Jerry, and Purgo started talking about how it might be fun to sit down with our friends, do some interviews, play some music, and make a place online for everyone to hear it. And it was the second week of July last year that we put up the very first Patcast with Matt Nathanson. You remember Matt Nathanson, one of the most notable Patcast flops of all time. This week marks a 1-year anniversary. So the first thing we have to do is say a very big thank you to all of you guys who have been listening over this past year. It's been a lot of fun and really interesting experiment for all of us who were involved in putting it together. We've met so many really cool new people and learned so much about not just the new folks, but also the friends that we have known for a long time. Jerry's learned lots of new songs, and Purgo has a very rudimentary understanding of audio production at this point. So I guess things are going pretty well. This is such a cool project for us, and we're excited to bring you lots more Patcasts and lots of other fun stuff in the future. It seems fitting this week for me to sit down and have a conversation with my own band as our 1-year anniversary. The Patcast guest this week is Train. You know, we do interviews and acoustic sets all the time. We go to radio and TV stations and talk to press all over the world, but generally, since me and Jimmy are the members who've been around the longest, most of the questions go to us. So this is a rare opportunity to hear from everyone. There's Jerry Becker, who you hear a lot of times on the podcast. He plays guitar and keyboards and Train. Jimmy Stafford, who's the lead guitar player, of course, and sings a bunch of great stuff. Hector Maldonado, he's the bass player and sings great too. Sakai and Nikita are lovely and talented background singers, and Drew Scholes, our newest member on drums. He's a lawyer. These guys are really an incredibly talented group, and they're really fun to be around, and I feel very lucky to spend my time with them and work with them. This group, I think you guys will get a very clear sense of all of that when you hear this interview. And, of course, we play a song together, so check that out this week on the 1-year anniversary Patcast. It's 6 of my favorite people in the whole world. Train.
What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking, looking at you. You got to get it while the getting is good. Laugh when you can, cry when you should. You got to give it till the giving is gone. Do what you can, then you move on. What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking, looking at you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Patcast. This is a really special Patcast because this is the 1-year anniversary. So I thought, actually, Purgo thought that the best way to do this would be to podcast my friends and bandmates Train. So thank you so much for coming to this mandatory podcast.
Wait, I thought it was a podcast.
Oh yeah, it is.
We are in Denver.
It's Denver, Colorado. So podcast is the next time we all get together. That's the 2-year anniversary. So everybody here is Jimmy Stafford, Jerry Becker, Hector Maldonado, Drew Scholes, Sakai, and Nikita, the lovely one-name girls who...
They're like Cher.
It's like Cher, Madonna. I don't think anyone knows their last name, even them. So, I think before we play music and get into all of that, I thought that it would be a good idea, since there's so many of us, to kind of go down the line a little bit and just tell everybody your background. And I'll finish with you, Jimmy, because you've been here forever. In fact, we just look at each other from across the table most days and go like, I can't believe how old you got. Yeah. And you're thinking the same, like, man, you are really letting yourself go. So we'll get into all that in a second. But let's start with you, Jerry. Why don't you tell everybody how you became part of this whole big group?
Hi, guys. I'm on the Patcast quite a bit, so some of you might know some of this. I think this is close to number 50. Is that right?
This is 49.
49. I met Pat about 17 years ago. I worked in a music store, and luckily he asked me to come on tour with him. So I met Jimmy and everybody back in '97. I was the original tour manager. Well, I was lucky. It was very.
Was that lucky?
It was lucky.
What did our first manager refer to you as? What did he refer to you as over the phone most days?
Gary.
But also, wouldn't he say, "You motherfucker"?
Yeah.
And then he would hang up on you.
And then he'd call me right back. And say, don't hang up on me. Yeah, it was pretty much hell at 24 years old to be out there with these guys. But it was really a great time to meet Columbia Records and meet Aware and everybody, and meet Virginia Was Breaking. And I knew the band was doing really well, so I decided to go back to school. And I think I was out with you guys for 2 years, though. So it was kind of a worst 2 years of my life.
Yes.
And then luckily Pat called me years later. He did a solo tour. I played on the record and then did that tour and played a little bit with Brandon and Johnny and some other guys in the band over the years. And I think I came back in 2008 and started touring with Train.
Yep.
So.
And you still live in San Francisco?
I still live in San Francisco.
Currently your family is in the mountains of Yosemite while you're here with us.
I was there last night.
Yeah. Awesome. And you're on the podcast all the time, so I'm super bored right now with you.
All right. Thanks, man. Nice to see you.
Hector, why don't you tell everybody your story?
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Hector. First, I was born. All right. I'm just kidding. No, I grew up in Arizona. I have musical brothers, and my brother Luis was touring with you on your solo record, and that's how I got to meet you and Jerry. And then we actually did a show together, Drew and I, on one of your shows, and Luis wasn't there, but that was back when you were doing your solo tour, and I remember meeting you guys there. And my brother Luis introduced me to Scott, because Scott was living in San Diego at the time. I was living in San Diego, so I jammed out with him for a little while. And I remember when he called me and said that you guys were looking for somebody as a bass player, I was like, yes, I would love to do that. And remember
we almost left you in Europe?
No, was that
Yeah, you don't remember because you were hammered. But
that Europe.
I remember. Oh, that Europe. I remember calling your brother and I was like, "You know how to play bass?" And he was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "I'm gonna send this mother back." I felt like our first manager.
I was such a mess back then. I'm not there
last week
now. Right? That was in February.
Slow growth, man. That's what I'm all about. Okay, how about you, Drew?
Hey, this is Drew. I play drums. I met Pat and Jerry back in, I think it was 2007, when we were doing the Pat solo tour. I jumped out on the road kind of in the middle of the tour, and it was kind of my first major gig, and it was I toured with some other artists before, but it was really fun for me just to
I think the best times we ever had around you was you and Tom O'Keefe, our tour manager at the time, just bickering back and forth about politics. And
he said I'm the only Democrat he respects, which is like a backhanded compliment, I guess.
No, it's a terrible compliment.
Yeah. But now that I'm incredibly wealthy, I don't know if I'll be a Democrat anymore.
Yeah, right.
So, hey, speaking of which, I decided to leave music and go to law school. So I went to Penn in Philadelphia and practiced law at a firm in New York for almost 2 years, and then basically got a text from Pat that said, "Are you sick of being a lawyer yet?" And I think very lawyer-like, I said, "It depends." But
let me ask my lawyer.
Yeah, let me ask my lawyer. Just let me get back to you. No, I mean, so things were going well with the firm, but the truth was I definitely prefer to play music. I think I'm kind of made to play drums, and I think I was a good lawyer. I was off to a good start, but I had to jump on the opportunity to join Train, and so been out for a few months now, and it's been a lot of fun.
Cool. And girls, I think Sakai, you should probably go first, right? Since I've known you longer.
Okay. Well,
You can talk into the microphone too. It's that thing right
it's
there.
right here? Okay. Is that good? Well, Pat and I met in 2007 as well. Before then, though, I've been doing music practically as long as I can remember growing up in church. I went on my first tour with Tremaine Hawkins, who is a huge gospel artist, and I've done tons of recording with many artists and lots of background work, and also had worked on some projects of my own.
It sounds like you're trying to get a record deal right now.
No, not at all. I'm just trying to tell you a little bit about how it all happened. And I got a call in 2007 to audition for Pat's band he was putting together, and I met Jerry. He's the first person I met, and went out, and Pat was singing, and I was singing with him, but he wasn't there. So, and then I got a call back to actually come out and meet Pat, and the rest is history. I was able to work with him on a duet every night, which was awesome, and Pirate on the Run. And the rest is history. Pat called me, 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
They were looking for some singers, and he thought of me.
And I asked you if you knew anybody else, and you said no. I don't know anybody.
That is not true. And also recorded on the Save Me San Francisco record.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was pretty awesome.
That was the
as
first
well.
time I met you too, right, Nikki?
Right.
Yes, first time I met you. Yeah.
And so this is Nikita. She's a dear friend of Sakai's, and also has had a rich history in music herself. And you came on during the Save Me San Francisco stuff, but really you didn't start working with us until I called Sakai, and she brought you in. And what are some of the other projects that you work on?
Well, I worked with my first tour I ever done was with Michael. From Confunction. What was his last
Michael what?
Was it Michael Funky Function?
I think it's
Michael Funky Function?
I think Marky Mark's first band, I think.
Wow.
I remember those guys.
Confunction. Right. But anyway, I went on tour with him, and then after that, I had my own project. I was on Motown. I did a CD on Motown in back in the day. And after that, I worked with Northern Michael Walden for a while, recording, doing some background vocals.
Did you sing on Whitney Houston records?
Yeah, I did I'm Every Woman, background on I'm Every Woman. And Aretha Franklin's...
That was my jam.
Yeah. Yeah, and Aretha Franklin on her Freeway of Love album. And just did a lot of recording and did some shows of my own throughout the years and worked with Sakai. And then I met Pat on the Saving San Francisco. And then after that, in 2012... got a call from Sakai on Mother's Day weekend,
So of the two of you, which of you do you think, I know my opinion, which of you do you think it has the dirtier sense of humor?
Between who?
Between you and Sakai.
I would definitely say Nikki.
See, here's the thing. I think Nikita is very openly into the road humor, but Sakai is secretly in love with the road humor.
See, I have brothers that will,
Yeah.
so.
And so,
Sakai laughs a lot, but then
But
she
she
goes
has
to
brothers,
church on
too.
Sunday.
yeah.
It makes
Oh, I'm gonna pray for you. That's a good one.
Bad. You guys are bad, though.
And so last but first, Jimmy Stafford, who you guys are all well aware of as the original band member with me, and also he's Jimmy. This is your second podcast with me because the first time you played guitar in Nashville with Martina, and also you got to be part of the John McBride introduction as well.
Yeah, that was really interesting sitting in on that. That was my first time, as you said, being part of a podcast. And I was so nervous because we had been on a break or something for a while.
Yeah.
We hadn't played in a long time. And you asked me to play Marry Me with Martina, which we had done together on Crossroads. But, I hadn't rehearsed that song for a long time or played it for a long time. And my dexterity wasn't together. I played it a few times before I went into the podcast that day. But, then all of a sudden when the pressure was on and to play it, I was just focusing so hard to get through that. Because you guys...
Past pressure.
I mean, it really was. Because the thing is, they were both... I know, right? And they were both, if they would have been, just doing a half-assed job, then it would have been fine. But they were both, killing it vocally, and Martina was singing the shit out of it. And I'm like, please don't mess this up. I was sweating bullets.
It was great. I loved having you. It was really fun, and I think everybody who follows Train really dug it, too. So why don't you tell everybody how it started, because nobody really gets to hear from you about this. And really, you were such a massive part of why the band ever got a look. And it'd be great for people to hear why that is, and all the hard work that you did that we never did. No one else in the band ever did what you had to do, and it started with flyers. You had a shitty little office job, but you took advantage of it by being able to, make things and then post them, and then it was in such an era in San Francisco that it was every week we had lots of stuff for you to have to do that we didn't really do.
Well, that's because I lived in the city. I think, it's not that you guys didn't want to do the work.
No, I didn't want to do it.
I mean, you had a full-time painting gig that you were doing out in Petaluma, and Rob, I don't know if Rob was working. He probably wasn't working, but he lived out in Novato too, far from the city. And you guys were coming into the city 3-4 times a week to rehearse. We'd rehearse in my apartment on acoustic guitars, write some songs.
That sweet apartment. How'd you get all your furniture up in that apartment?
A long time ago, back in the Apostle days, I had a day job and I hurt my back real bad. I had one of those herniated discs.
Oh, yeah.
That a couple years after that, I had surgery to repair it, and I was fine. After that, I'm fine. But then, weeks before I moved up to San Francisco, I had a flare up. And I started seeing an acupuncturist and stuff, but it was bad. When I got to San Francisco, I had a small truck full of furniture to be moved up to my new second floor apartment. It was small to
you. It was a small, super teeny truck for you.
Yeah. Well, I really couldn't lift much at all, and Pat and Rob were so kind to come over and move me in, and I was just careful of the walls, Carol, put that couch over there. Yeah. But so I lived in the city, and we were rehearsing, and we would literally rehearse for an hour or two, and then we'd go out on Haight Street and test out our new material in coffee houses. Yeah. And it was really cool. It was such an organic way to start and to grow because, people were coming out. The first week there'd be 5 people sitting in there, and the next week there'd be 25. And then before long they were opening up the windows because people were out on the sidewalks watching us play and stuff. It was pretty awesome.
I think one of the most insightful things you ever did was what people don't know about where Trainline.com came from was you created the Train Line. That was people's hotline too.
Yeah. Well, we started.
But it was before the website.
Yeah,
you called it Train Line.
We I think we had used it as an email address to begin with because all that stuff was new.
No, but it was before that even.
Well, I know.
I remember that you would make flyers, and it was a phone number that people could call. And you would call it the Train Line, and that's why when all of a sudden the internet starts happening, and you signed us right up for Trainline.com.
Right.
What was the first thing that our first manager said to us about signing up for the
internet?
Yeah. What did you say about the internet? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Oh, wait, I remember. He said, fuck the internet, it's a fad.
You know, I just found all of those old flyers the other day. They were so great. I used to go down to this postcard shop, and I'd just like find cool postcards that had nothing to do with trains.
Right.
Like that was our thing. Like we didn't want to be trained literally. So it'd be a postcard of a dog or, you know, some nuns or something.
Yep.
And then I would just like design these flyers around the postcards, and we'd put our show dates on them. And we started a mailing list, and I'd go down to the management company and use their postage stamps and all that stuff, and their Xerox, and do all that, and put up flyers around Haight Street and all around the city. It was actually fun. It was a really creative, interesting time for the band. We were all just learning and growing and doing our own marketing, and it was cool.
So here we all are. There's 7 of us now, and there's so many roads that brought us all here together at the same time. But if you guys were gonna like define what it's like to be here, and I would say mostly with me and Jimmy, we've been here for so long that we know each other so well. But relatively, you're new, starting with Jerry. You've been here the longest by far, but like with all of you. You weren't here during the beginning phases, so since you've been here, like what would your description to other people be of what it's like? And you can be honest. You don't have to. It doesn't all have to be happy. Maybe it can be like it's a fucking stressful thing, and sometimes it's fun. Or if Pat would stop drinking wine, I think we could get some work done. Like it's okay to be honest.
Well, for me personally, when you called me, I thought it was just so amazing. It was supposed to be a summer, and then another summer went by.
We didn't pay you past the summer, did we?
You didn't, and I got to talk to you about that. But when you actually asked us to be a part of Train, for me, it was really heart-wrenching because you had put in 20 years deep, and sometimes you bring in new people and you're not really sure how your audience is going to accept the new folks. And during the last couple of years, it's been really great. We've gotten a lot of really wonderful responses from the crowd and people texting and sending us, various media stuff. And it's been really nice to get those compliments. But from you and Jimmy and Scott at the time, it was just, for me, it was really emotional because yes, as you mentioned, our journeys were different, but yet it was meant to be at a certain time to come together. And I just thought it was such a huge compliment.
That's cool.
Such a huge compliment.
Well, see, I remember in Hawaii a few months ago sitting down with you and Nikita and just looking at you and how grateful you are to just be able to sing every night. And that really woke me up to some of the issues I have in all of this. I get caught up in, okay, we're not enough people are this, and there's not enough downloads, and we're not getting enough radio, and I get caught up in the nonsense of it. Where really, I should just be grateful that I get to sing on stage with people every night, and you guys wake me up to that a lot. Like, I think without you guys, we're certainly not headed towards cool. And I think you guys give us that cool. I think Hector, on the other hand, really counters the cool.
Very uncool at times.
Yeah. And so, Hector, since you've been here with us, you've made a lot of changes, but you've also seen a lot of changes within the band. Like, what is your interpretation of where things are and how they, how they've become? Because when you started with us, we were recovering from being a pretty broken group of musicians, and also the band itself musically, who knew if anybody was going to care anymore, to traveling the world for the first time in your life, and then here you are today. Like, what's the best and worst part about all of that?
Well, I played with tons of other musicians, growing up doing studio work and playing in bands and local bands and stuff like that, and it pretty much was. It was one of those things where when I got the call to play for you guys, I was like, wow, this is huge. This is a really, really important thing. And I couldn't imagine how great it would be but it was really scary for me because I hadn't worked with a band as big as Train. And I remember we would all be in vans and buses and planes, and the whole time we were traveling, and Soul Sister's getting out, and it's getting more popular. I remember thinking, this is awesome. Wow, this is what it feels like to be in a group that has some, people listening to the music and caring and loving it. And it made a big difference in my life. So I really started to want to play more, and I'd practice more. Even if I knew the songs, I would practice before the shows. I really got a lot more focused as the years went past, because I was thinking, like, this is way more important than I ever thought it would be to me. And now I feel like all of us are really genuine. We're all really honest with each other. And I think that translates really well within the music, how we do it on stage. We all have a good time doing this, and I can't imagine being anywhere else. I love doing this.
What's the worst part about all this?
Being tired. I don't know. I don't think there's a worse part about this. I think it's the travel that just makes me go, oh man, that's an 18-hour flight. That's the one thing that just gets me a little down.
Right, and Sam, our tour manager, tries to put you in the worst possible seat.
Well, his beard does.
But I told him to do that.
Oh, right, okay. Well, then it's cool.
Which is mean, but super funny for everybody else. And so, Drew, I think the big question that everybody would want to ask you is, what kind of idiot quits his job at a law firm in New York to be in a rock band? I mean, you got to be out of your mind. And what do your parents think?
Well, my parents are stoked, and I have they're my biggest fans. They've always been so supportive, and I'm just super lucky to have parents that put me through drum lessons, because I don't know what parent would pick the noisiest, most obnoxious instrument for their kid to learn, but they always showed up to my gigs.
Right.
They always put the money in the tip jar. We're like splitting $20 with my first band, and
right.
I'm like pretty sure this all came from my parents. So they're really stoked, but they were supportive of me going to law school too. They're just good parents. But it's funny that you say that what idiot would leave the law firm, because there are these lawyers are nerds, obviously, and they read this blog called Above the Law, and recently they did an article about me, and
wow, that's so cool.
And they were saying, you were an idiot for leaving music in the first place. Of course, rock star, is greater than lawyer any day. So it's,
there's a truth behind being a lawyer, especially probably in the first half of your career, where you're doing a lot of work that nobody else wants to do, right? Yeah. Isn't that essentially what the beginning phases of anything are?
Yeah, I mean, lawyers are there to help people get through tough times, and people don't like it when lawyers have to show up and help them with a divorce or with litigation,
right?
But it was cool to solve complex problems and to work with really smart people, and I learned a lot. And I think it taught me a lot about business generally and about being a professional. And I think I'll take those skills with me even as a musician. But I mean, playing drums is a lot more fun than being a lawyer.
It's just cool.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm super stoked. It's been amazing to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
Far. Yeah.
And so, Nikita, I was gonna ask you, what's the difference between this and the other things you've done? I can't imagine anything's as awesome as this. But just maybe there's something out there that's equally as cool. But what is the difference between? You've traveled a lot now. You've gone to a lot of parts of the world, and what's the difference?
Well, before I didn't travel all over the world. I've been to Japan before, and I went to Switzerland, but that was far.
That was to collect your money in your Swiss bank.
Yeah, but with Train, I just think that this is on such a different level, a level that I've never been on, and the experience working with people that are so professional. And it's like when I'm on stage with all of you, it's like, this is what it sounds like. This is how it's supposed to sound. This is how the audience, I just get freaked out when I see the people out there just vibing off of the whole band, and I've had experience with people who enjoy the show, but this is just on a totally different level.
That's cool.
And every time when you do the song Angels, I always look up, and and I just, so I'm getting emotional now. Sorry. I think about my mother and father
that's
because
cool.
they were my biggest fans, and I know they was rooting for me, and they would be happy for me to be where I'm at today. And I want to
cool.
thank you and Jimmy and all of you for, making me a part of this.
Oh, that's so cool. We love having you a part of it. You make our lives better. Speaking of not making somebody's lives better, though, Jerry, when you've seen this band evolve from where it was, like you were driving in a van. I'm sorry that I moved on, but I'm going to start to cry if I keep talking to you, Nikita. So I've got to go talk to somebody who's going to say something mean to me, because that kind of
I'll make you cry.
But Jerry, you've seen this band from a perspective of, like, I remember being in a van driving from like truck stop to truck stop, almost trying to get each other with, like opening sardine cans and just almost like it was. When I think back of it, I was like, man, we really tried to get each other as often as we could. And then I remember Rob would put his earphones on and just try so badly to not be there with us because we were so obnoxious.
Yeah.
To now we're like grown-ups, and we still have the same terrible humor and we're still mean to each other, but it's a little bit different. And now you're not in the keeping track of sound scan parts of it, but you're actually a big part of the music directing of the band. Like, what a huge change that's been for you. What are the phases of all of that for you, and what's better? Would you rather be the tour manager?
Yeah, I want to go back. I've been talking to Sam, and there's an opening in middle management. So I went and saw you guys at the Inn of the Beginning. It was the first time I saw your band, and I bought a CD that night. And I think Scott put his kick drum pedal through the bass drum and broke it, so you guys had to do half the set acoustic. Really pretty bad show. Incredible show for me because you guys were incredible, but 10 people there, right? But I bought a CD from Hanny, and it was like kind of a big deal. And I remember saying to my wife, or my girlfriend at the time, I go, I want to play that in that band so bad. Cool. And basically I was pointing to Rob because he was the only guy I thought I could possibly take in a fight, right?
I think I could take him.
I go, you see that hippie over there? I think I could take the hippie.
Yeah.
It took me about 15 years, but I play his parts now, basically.
Yeah.
But no, I was a huge Train fan, even when I was working for you guys. Like, I could play every song off those first couple records, even though I didn't play on them. I was managing and running around with you guys, but man, I learned every song. I love the Brendan O'Brien records. I love everything about them. So for me, it was so strange to be an observer, but also so close. I mean, I got a phone call from you. You won't remember this, but you had written Drops of Jupiter. You were tracking it. And you called me up, and it was late. It was probably 1 a.m. or so, I don't remember. And you said something about a lyric. You go, tell me what you think about this. Soy fried chicken. You did that whole line to me. You told me the bridge. And I go, can you sing it to me? And you sang it. And I was like, wow, I like soy, fried chicken. I said something about it. And then I remember hanging the phone. Oh, I said, I think it's great. And you go, the band hates it and Brendan hates it. Like you were looking for someone to say it's awesome, right? And I was like, cool. And I hung the phone up and I looked at my wife and I go, I don't know what they're writing on that. Like, this band is going down.
This band is over.
I'm so glad I quit.
You are the worst friend in the world.
That was the truth.
A terrible friend.
Man,
sounds sweet, dude. Can't wait to see you burning down in hell.
Man, that's the truth. I remember hearing that. But I was grateful that Pat, Rob and I did some recording too after he left the band. So I was playing music, and it was great that you called me. So my evolution was really funny because I saw the band kind of, fall apart a little bit. You did your solo thing, which was musically the best thing I'd ever done at the time. Met Sakai, a guy who was my attorney at the time, managed Sakai. So you called me looking for background singers, and, it was perfect. I already knew people, and so it was great. Each person here, we all knew each other from other people, and it wasn't like we had to do a cold audition for anybody. Does that make sense? I think. So for me, I don't know. It's
I
the coolest
did.
band in the world. You had to do an audition.
Yes, I did. I don't know about
I remember
you, but
seeing
I did.
footage of Sakai before
That's
we met.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. You had to do a
You had
video
other girls
audition.
that were
Yeah, video
auditioning
audition.
too.
Right.
That's
'Cause
the
he
way to
couldn't
do
make
it.
He couldn't make it to do it, so I
Right.
had his voice on track, and you sang along with it.
Right.
That's right.
And you auditioned me, Jerry, at my house in my
right.
living room with Luis.
In Portland.
Hey, back
Yeah.
to me, guys.
We-
Just
Hey.
back to me. So the evolution of me watching, meeting the band, loving the music, and then being able to actually play in it is unbelievable. So Times Square, New Year's Eve, I get to play Imagine with this band.
Yeah, it's cool.
There's no low point. What do you say?
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, should I get into the low point?
No, it's better we move on. So, Jimmy, being in this band with you for 20 years, I'm glad that you've seen it all through with me and didn't kick me out of the band. So, thanks. Is there a way that we could play Angel and Blue Jeans, and then I could finish up by asking you guys the last couple questions, because I think that we're probably running pretty late.
Grab a guitar over here.
All right, this is Angel and Blue Jeans. This is actually the first train performance on the Patcast. So I hope you don't plan on getting any royalties. And I'm talking to you, lawyer boy.
No, I never got her name. But time to find out anything. I loved her just the same. And no, I rode a different road, sang a different song. I'll love her till my last breath's gone. Like a river made of silver, everyone came running to the scene. I was shot down in cold blood by an angel in blue jeans. Late that night she got away. I chased her to the turnpike and lost her where the music never played.
So before we wrap it up and everybody gets to go do what they usually do before a show, which is, I think, a lot of red tube for a few of you, and I don't know what the guys do. I don't know what the guys do. What I wanted to ask you is, like, you guys, I don't know who wants to go first, or if you all want to just chime in and have a whatever about it, but what are the best things and the worst things about traveling as much as we do? And also, what would be, everybody asks me what my goal is. Like, what's the goal? What are you hoping to achieve? And no one ever asks you guys. I would love to know, like, what would be fulfilling? What are some fulfilling moments that maybe haven't been achieved by this traveling circus that we've become that would really help you, like, be psyched and continue to be psyched? What are those? What's that combination of a big question there? Who wants to go first? Anybody? Jimmy, what do you got?
Well, I'll go first. I mean, it's the music that it's all about the music for me. That's what keeps me going and wanting to keep doing this. I mean, the traveling, as grueling as it can be sometimes, it's pretty great that we get to go all over the world and see people and places all over the world. It's we don't. It's not like we're traveling in a van these days like we used to. Like, our traveling has gotten much nicer.
Pretty sure like, we've been in a van a lot.
We are in a lot of but I mean, our traveling even the vans have gotten nicer.
Jimmy and I just did a promo run in New York and New Jersey. Pretty vanish.
Nice, but nice vans.
Yeah.
Not
really nice vans.
Not
Sprinters.
like the van we were in with Jerry 20 years ago.
Yeah, the vans are nicer.
I mean, to me, it's just all about the music. That's what keeps me going, and I'm really fired up about this new record. I think it's
why?
I think it's the best collection of songs you've written, and we're hearing the mixes come in now. The album. By the time this podcast airs, the album will have been mixed and mastered, and the songs sound amazing. And we're starting to learn them as a band, and I think playing them live is going to be so much fun.
Yeah,
I can't wait. Like, I want to play every song off this record when we tour next year.
What's a goal of yours, or maybe one that you see is possible that we haven't achieved yet?
Well, there's a few things that we haven't done that I think this record, might even get us to that point. We've never really, we've never been the cool band, the hip band, even from the beginning. Like, I guess we were on that first album.
Look around the room, buddy.
Yeah.
It ain't in the future.
Like, we've never done Saturday Night Live, it'd be so great to do SNL.
Yeah, that would be fun. Just to have done it.
We've never played Madison Square Garden. We've played some amazing places around the world. Yeah. We've even played in Wembley, like at a football halftime and stuff like that. But awesome. Like playing Madison Square Garden, man, that'd be so amazing. So those are a couple things that would be great to achieve.
How about you, Jerry? What do you got? What are your best and worst parts of traveling, and what would you like to see happen?
I don't mind the travel. It doesn't, everyone always, the excuse nowadays is, how are you? Like, I'm tired. It's like nowadays new snootiness, like my life is so busy. I'm so tired all the time. So I don't like always saying I'm tired. Top shelf problem right there. Let me see. The travel doesn't bug me at all. I mean, I can't believe, for a guy who grew up in Cleveland, I didn't step on a plane until I was 19 years old.
Oh, wait a minute. You're from Cleveland?
Yes.
Okay, we got to make some changes.
Yeah. So it's weird to fly 200-some thousand miles a year for a guy who never flew until he was 19. It's
too.
Nuts. So
I didn't fly till I was 19 either. I flew to LA.
Me too. It's the strangest feeling. I'm still so excited when I'm on a plane, even if it's a 2-hour flight. I never get frightened that it's going to crash. I don't know how you could even worry about that. It seems so weird. I guess my only goal, though, if I skip forward, probably is the cover of Men's Health. What's so funny, Pergo?
Better hit the gym,
that's
Jerry.
A good goal.
You got something to say? All right, take it, Hector.
That's a good goal. Hector, what do you got?
It's funny. I think some of the highs and lows. I think it's always changing for me. It's the grass is always greener kind of thing for me.
Speaking of greener.
And grass. And grass. No pun intended, but total pun intended. It's like when I'm at home and we have time off, I feel like I really want to be out here playing.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you go home for 2 days, you're like, man, I miss it?
Yeah, actually. Yeah, because the thing is, I get home and I think about, okay, so the next obligation that we have to do or the next show or whatever it is, that's going to be fun. I always look forward to it. That's great. But it's that waiting time. That's what I mean. That's the downside for me.
Yeah, that's
is the waiting for the next cool thing to happen.
And what are you hoping that we can achieve as a group that maybe we haven't done yet that you'd love to see happen in your life?
I think own a unicorn. No, I think it just always changes. I think the goal constantly changes, and it's your writing is amazing, and we play together so well that I think that every single time we play a new place and there's new fans, a new audience, that already is like achieving the goal, you know? So I love it every step of the way.
Right, that's cool. Sakai, we're going in order of how long everybody's been around, so we might as well go to you.
Wow. Well, as far as travel goes, sometimes at one point we had flown in all these different cities and we were in 3 different time zones. Sometimes the jet lag gets me a little bit. And the turbulence. I'm not a fan.
You know that's a microphone there in front of you,
right?
right?
I'm so sorry. I forget. I sing on these things, right?
In front of a microphone.
I know, it's so crazy. So that for me is the worst part.
The turbulence, that'll freak you out a little bit, huh?
That's a part of, I get on airplanes.
Do you realize that sometimes it's not turbulence, it's Jerry sitting behind you shaking your chair?
Is that what's going on?
Yes. I can't believe you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
And so do you have some, you have children, and there must be a lot of being a mom that is you miss some stuff.
I do miss them, and I'm very grateful. I remember when you called me, you said, is this something Kev would be cool with? You want to come out and work with us? And I talked to him, and of course he was hyped. I have like the greatest husband in the world who takes care of these kids. I have twins that are 7, and he makes sure they are happy.
Yeah,
they're happy kids.
He's a great guy.
They're happy kids.
He did, however, leave a humongous amount of chicken and pork in my refrigerator in the bus once.
That's real talk.
Yeah, that is real talk. And
real talk.
Yes. I would like to still discuss that. Actually, now that I have a lawyer, I would like to talk to Kevin about that.
I'll let him know.
What's maybe a goal here that you'd be proud to share that with your family that we could?
Oh my
gosh.
That we could do? It is so interesting. I am so grateful every night that I let you guys know this all the time. I'm sending you and Jimmy texts, and I'm so happy just to be a part of such an amazing group of musicians and to have this experience on this level. I've always dreamt, and to make a lot of sacrifices along the way, knowing at that time it was time for me to raise the older kids. And, but God is so good to me. It's like He prepared me. I was prepared. When you called, I was ready, So it's like, cool. I've been ready for this for so long. And
so anything goes in the future. You're good with it all.
I'm not taking no. There will not be any shorts going on in this.
So you still want to keep going up?
No, but you're huge already, but I just see like even a larger audience just appreciating this music. It, like Jimmy said, it is about the music, and I think we do the work, we love what we do, then it's going to transcend, and that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And to see it in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or having you have your star on the Hollywood Walk, that would just be amazing. I'm so proud of you and
that's nice.
Jimmy.
Thanks.
And I just think that would just be amazing. But just to see this all come to life.
Like maybe the star would say train, but it would be your face on it.
Yeah, of course. Me and Nikita, I got to bring my girl along with me.
So Nikita, what about you? What's the best and worst part of all of this, and what would you like to see happen before?
Well, the worst thing for me is when I'm on a plane and my ears pop, and my
And your
ears
ears
pop,
pop?
and my ears pop. I don't mind the travel. I
You
love
have
traveling.
you have very few complaints then. If that's
To
the
be
bummer.
honest, I really, really do. I mean, this is something as a little girl, I've always wanted to do is sing, and to be able to sing with a band, one of the best bands in the whole wide world, in my opinion, because I
so
think
nice.
you guys are off the chain. Your music is awesome, and to be a part of that, and then to have people I know who say you would train. Oh, I didn't know they sang that song. Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I'm a part of that. You guys made me a part of that, so I'm really grateful for that. So I don't have any complaints as far as anything.
What haven't we done yet that you'd like to do? Play in Bermuda?
Well, if that's where you guys want to go, I'm on board. So wherever your dream is, because you made me a part of your band, and you guys been doing this for years. I just came on board, so I'm on your dream. I'm on your dream, and it's a dream of mine to be performing. As a kid, I remember saying in my mother's living room, and it had a closet with a mirror. And I just say, I want to sing in front of millions of people, just thousands, millions of people. I'm doing that.
That's cool.
I'm actually doing it.
Oh, that's
great.
great.
With you guys.
Well, I
So-
need to be around you guys more because I have lots to complain about. Sometimes I sit in my room and like there are rainbows and checks under my door and just everything's good, and I'll be like, motherfucking steak, that steak was overcooked. Like everything is wrong. I just wish I could get over that. But I need to hang out with you
Yeah,
guys
but
more.
like, can I add to like?
No, we don't really have time.
Like Hector said, I love the music, and I love doing music. And you said something a little earlier, and you made me lose my thought when you cut me off, Pat.
Welcome to the world of the
Unicorn? Is that?
You were going to extend on what Hector said.
I know, but you made me lose my thought.
Oh,
every day at SFO.
yeah.
I'll come back.
Okay.
Okay.
If you think of it, just
I'll just-
interrupt.
I will.
So Drew, you're the newcomer. What are the best and worst parts of this so far for you? And what's a goal, or what are several that are going to make this whole thing worth the big change that you've made?
I think it's already worth it. I think the hardest part so far is just being away from my fiance, Nicole, because she's in the middle of med school and she's working her butt off, and I'm like living the life right now. So I just wish I could share it with her. But I hope that she ends up making a ton of money as a surgeon or something, and I can just keep doing my thing.
I think Dave Matthews proved that that's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
His wife is a doctor, and that's why he moved to Seattle, I think.
Right.
So.
But I'm super stoked, and basically like a lot of my goals were to play specific types of venues, like to play Red Rocks or play Radio City Music Hall, and we're doing those things.
Yeah, we do both
this year.
those things this year. Right?
So already I'm like really excited about that. But I think I'm competitive like you are, and I want the record to do well. I think it's really good. I'm stoked to be on it. I've enjoyed learning Scott's parts on drums, and I think he's an amazing drummer. But I'm excited about what I played on the record, and I'm stoked to get out there and play my interpretations of things, to play this music that I think is so good. I've been a fan for a long time too, but I think I agree with Jimmy. I feel like this is the strongest record to date. So I hope it does well. I hope it does well because it's cool to like have a number one record, right? I can imagine it'd be amazing, but really it would just provide us the opportunity to continue to tour,
Yeah, that's right.
and play in front of a lot of people and
That's
share
right.
it, in a live setting. Which
and
is
what the good news is,
what we're
I know
doing
you
it
can't, you won't be able to share a lot of these moments with your fiance, but you can with your girlfriend, and that's that's like a high five moment that you can't always have.
Drew, she's real cute.
You can't always have your cake and eat it too, right?
Oh, man. Well, now I don't have a fiance, so
So the thing I wanted to end with, besides a big thank you for for all the hard work that you guys do and putting up with, mostly me. Jimmy really doesn't have any stuff that you guys need to put up with as much as I do. But if you could tell Train fans or people who are listening to the podcast, maybe a lovely something you have found out there on the road by traveling with the band, something that you, like a place that you go to every time we're in Memphis, or man, when we went to Venice, there was something amazing there, or whatever that thing would be that you could turn people onto. What are those things for you? Anybody got something? What do you got, Hector?
I mean, it's been really crazy an experience to go to New Zealand and Dubai and Singapore, and the list goes on of great places that we've been. But I found like a great tour find, I guess, for me was to find a little bit of like myself. I found a lot of peace in myself where I'd never toured before, so I never knew how grueling it could be and the traveling. But I think as we started to tour and it just got busier and busier, I started realizing that I needed to change things in myself. I didn't know who I really was before this tour. It'll bring out the reality in you, is what I'm saying. When all you have is the music and each other, and you're exhausted, but being on a stage is a rush. You pretty much have to come to terms with all the things that you have issues with.
Right.
So my greatest tour find was finding a lot of myself.
Cool. That's a great answer. I haven't heard that one yet. Nikita, what do you got?
For me, all the traveling we've done, I find it makes me humble, and appreciate, where I've come from, and to appreciate where I've been. All these different cultures, trying different foods, and that I would never have tried just any before, and just being appreciative of the opportunity of being with you guys, having the experience of traveling all over the place, meeting new people, and people enjoying what we do,
right,
as a group. Because it's not
so
just...
that's your big tour find is like an appreciation inside yourself. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Jerry, I'm going to guess that your favorite tour find was Rick Springfield.
Ooh.
Because in his house were like $10,000 Star Wars characters that were unopened in packages
Not
from
anymore.
Japan.
Does he know that?
That was one of the if anybody could understand this year, just for me as a musician playing, I played with Sammy Hagar, Rick Springfield, Bon Jovi, John Mayer, who else? Steven Tyler. Played with them, not just like hanging out, not open with Dave Grohl. I mean, this year, I don't know how I can top this year unless McCartney and like Elton decide to say, "Hey, Jared, let's go do some shows." I mean,
plastic surgery would be a good way
for
to top the year.
Yeah. My eyes.
No, everything.
Men's health.
Like, let's get this thing on Men's Health.
All right, thanks, man.
But what would be your tour find that you can turn people onto? Is there a store that you go to look at that stuff or anything?
Kind of, but there's a place in Japantown that's pretty cool in San Francisco. But I wanted to say this. There's a diner in New York City that we always go to, but we never talked about it. It's called Moonstruck.
Oh, yeah, right, Moonstruck.
And I forgot about it because we used to stay at Bryant Park Hotel all the time, and then now we stay in a different part of town. And I'm like, I'm walking to Moonstruck. And it's a mile away. And then as I walked there, 6 hours before, I was in an elevator with Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
And I was just like, couldn't even talk. I'm talking to this guy all freaked out. And then a mile, 3 hours later, a mile down the road, he walks into Moonstruck right behind me.
Are you kidding me?
No. And I'm like,
so fun.
I'm like, you and I, man. So it's crazy. It's a cool place. Moonstruck Diner, 38th and Madison, I think.
Right.
Get the breakfast.
Nice. Jimmy, what do you got? You got to have tons of things at this point.
Man, you know what? I don't. I mean, we go to all these places, and I don't go far from the hotel. We're really busy a lot of times, and so I end up like eating dinner at the hotel restaurant or going down for a cocktail at the hotel restaurant. Do you have a favorite
hotel bar or hotel restaurant?
Oh, they're all great. I love them all.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think I love all of them.
But yeah, as far as like tour finds, it's like, I could probably recommend a few hotels around the world. But it's just all such a blur in so many ways, like like I said, you don't go far. You might just travel within a block to find something to eat, and sometimes you don't have much time, so you don't end up going to the nice restaurant that you'd rather go to. You go to the quicker restaurant or something. But yeah, I don't know, man. Tour find, it's like the fans, like I remember when Brandon was in the band with us, he used to always put out on Twitter and stuff for breakfast places, and the fans would just like tweet all these great breakfast places and stuff. I remember tweeting once about a laundromat. trying to find somewhere to do it.
Wait. Back up, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You tweeted, "Does someone want to do my laundry?"
I did do that one time. I think we were in San Antonio, and like I had nothing clean to wear, and it was like, man, can I come over to somebody's house and do laundry? And some girl responded, I'll come by your bus, pick up your laundry, and I was like, that's awesome. Twitter is the best.
Yeah. Drew just looked at you as though you were the greatest human being. Like he's like, I have read every law book and I know every great American, but nothing trumps that.
Yeah, I remember Pat was really freaked out because he's like, "You're gonna let some stranger like do your laundry and fold your clothes?" I'm like, yeah,
do you remember what your answer was?
No.
Fuck yes. That was your genuine, real answer. Congratulations, Jimmy. You
And he
win.
didn't even give her tickets.
Yes. Oh, it's amazing. Drew, you've been doing this for a couple of months now, but before that you did some touring. You got something that you're from Portland. Is there something in Portland that you
Portland.
think people should go to?
Yeah, I mean, I love Stumptown Coffee from Portland. It's the best coffee in the nation, and I mean, they have some in New York
and they have
in a lot
San
of places.
Francisco, Seattle, yeah.
So yeah, I love Stumptown. Beast is a restaurant in Portland. It's by one of the Top Chef folks, and it's like an amazing, great place. I had a Mother's Day dinner with my mom and my family. I really like in Austin. Magnolia is a great breakfast place.
Great.
And then if you're looking to go for a run in St. Louis, I really love their Forest Park, which isn't that foresty, but it's really pretty and it's just in a nice neighborhood. So shout out to St. Louis folks. And Ted Drew's frozen custard there too.
Man, I got a lot of tour. You should write a tour book.
Yeah,
really.
That's what 2 months did. And Jimmy, it took you four minutes to come up with one thing.
20 years. Shut up.
But people do my laundry.
You got to have
let me
something
tell you.
great out there. What's a great tour find for people?
I must say mine is sort of cliche in that they say that music is universal, and I really experienced that when we went to Malaysia and we heard all those beautiful people singing "Marry Me" in the audience. It was the most beautiful experience I think that I've heard as far as the audience singing. It was so pretty, and though not speaking the same language, we certainly enjoyed them singing "Marry Me."
Music is a universal
language. Truly is, and that's so to experience that, not just hearing that, but experiencing that was really beautiful for me.
That's great. Well, before we say goodbye, Nikita, did you think of what you wanted to say that I interrupted earlier?
Yes.
You know that's a microphone in front of you.
To piggyback on what Hector was saying, as far as the worst part of the touring is when you come home, and as much as I love my home, is when I'm home, I'm like, oh, I can't wait till we go back out. I'm ready to go back. When are we leaving again?
That's cool.
Yeah, because I always have so much fun.
There's a
fun.
certain decompression and compression that happens when you get on and off the road. There's a certain amount of days. I think it's 3 days for me to acclimate to whatever it is we're doing. But then it's hard to get out of it. Like if I'm home for 3 days and then it becomes 3 weeks, which it just recently did for the first time in a long time, it's hard to get the whole schedule together, because then the first trip is like something difficult, like taking a red eye to New York City or something. So, and then to try to get sleep and that whole thing can be aggravating. But we'll reconvene and we'll have another podcast in the next little bit. Thank you for being the 1 year anniversary podcast of the Patcast, and thanks for being a great group of friends. Thanks to Pergo. I don't know what he does over there. He mostly sleeps. He's like I think
what are you spinning over there?
I think he's putting his DJ set together right now while we do all this.
He's just listening to music with the head.
All right.
Sports talk.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Train on the podcast. On the Patcast.
We're not going to use any of that. Let's go.
That was Train on the Patcast. And of course, you can find out what all of us are up to all the time on SaveMeSanFrancisco.com. But all of these guys also have Instagram and Twitter. You can find them at Jamalama. That's 2 M's, 1 L, and 1 M. That's Jimmy's. And then you can go to DJ Soft Rock. That's 2 F's, no T. That's Jerry. You can go to Hector Helium. That's just Hector Helium. That's Hector. Sakai World, Sakai World. That's Sakai. And Drew Scholes, Drew_Scholes, Shoals. Nikita is too cool. She changes her phone number every 5 minutes and her Instagram because she does not want the police to find out where she is. That's not true, but I love her. But you can see her and all of us this summer on our tour, and you can see us back here every week on the Patcast on patcast.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SaveMeSanFrancisco.com. Thanks so much for a great year, and thanks for listening.